Today I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why your filling is sensitive. You go to the dentist, the tooth doesn't bother you before, and now it's sensitive. It hurts to chew and floss. It's cold sensitive. The tooth even hurts. I'm going to tell you exactly why that's happening, but I'm going to tell you more importantly how the dentist can fix it. And the number one most common reason is the fact that it's too high. Now, a filling being too high means that it is biting on the other surface of the opposing tooth. So let's say you do a lower molar filling, the upper top tooth is actually biting down and hitting on that filling. Now, sometimes this is really difficult to gauge as a general dentist because you're laying back and we check your bite. We don't usually bite when we're laying back down, but when you're sitting up, that's when we need to check your bite. And a lot of times we're so busy, we don't have the time to do that. So we're checking your bite when you're like laying back, and when you're sitting up is when your bite is actually hitting on the filling. So it's a little bit different in that aspect. And that's why we use that little blue tape to check your filling. So bite tape or occlusal tape basically is a little blue dye that we use to see if your filling is being bit on. And if your filling is being bit on, even the slightest bit, you're going to have a sensitive tooth afterwards. The good news about this is that it's an easy fix. So basically you come back to the dentist, you say, hey, this filling just doesn't feel right. It feels tall, it feels a little bit cold sensitive, and we just zip it down. We don't have to get you numb. It's like a 3-second fix. Now, if you go back to the dentist, this is usually free of charge. The dentist should not charge you to do this, and it is complimentary. Now, if the dentist is charging you, that is a little bit of a red flag. I have never charged a patient to fix something that I originally told them I was going to fix in the first place, and I charged them once. In my opinion, if you charge somebody for something, you just got to fix the problem. You could have your filling be a little bit too broad and the contact actually be burnished into the other tooth, which creates a contact that is too much. And to put that in plain English, what that means is that the dentist actually pressed the filling, the new filling in there too far on or too hard on the other tooth. So you have two teeth that are touching each other. The way that the teeth touch each other is very specific, and your brain can actually interpret how those teeth are touching in a very, very specific way. And when the dentist rebuilds the filling and it is touching too much or it's too hard on the other tooth, it is actually going to cause a lot of sensitivity, not only on the tooth that you got the filling on, but the tooth next door. So you're going to actually have two achy teeth because the dentist made that really too tight. And that's called the contact point. And the way you can tell is that when you floss all the other teeth and then you get to the one the dentist did the filling on, it's going to be really hard or even snap the floss so you can't even floss it. Good news about that is that it's an easy fix. You just go back to the dentist and we have these little files that we kind of go in between the teeth, or we have these discs that can actually make it much less contact on the tooth, and it's actually going to make it a lot easier for you to floss in the long run. So if your tooth is sensitive from that, a real quick easy fix, go back to the dentist, have them use that saw and make a lighter contact. Another reason the tooth can be sensitive, it's very uncommon, but you can have a little bit of flashing. So when we do fillings, we try to do our best to not overfill the tooth and have a little bit of what we call flashing. Now, flashing is a little bit of composite material or white filling material that gets underneath the gums, and it can actually make the gums a little bit irritated. The way you as a patient, you can know this is happening to you is that when you're flossing and you're pulling up on the floss, it actually shreds the floss, or you can actually feel a little bit of a clipping. And that's a really easy fix. You just go back to the dentist, say, hey, I think there's a little flashing on my filling. By the way, they're going to be a little bit alarmed that you know what the word flashing is. Just you have a very high dental IQ if you say those words, but it will actually locate exactly for the dentist what needs to be done. Really easy fix. I just take a little, it's like a little blade that I put underneath there and I just scrape it off, because a lot of times when we do fillings, knowing where the filling starts and stops is actually very difficult because we try to match the color of the tooth. We take a tooth, let's say it is shade A2, which is a very common shade for a tooth, and we do a filling that's shade A2. To know where the filling starts and stops is actually very, very difficult. So if we have a little bit of overflow of it and it's too high, it's going to cause a lot of sensitivity. But if we have a lot of overflow of the filling and it is a little bit, we have a little excess, so we overfill it maybe 105%, we just go clip that off and then there you go. It can cause a little sensitivity because that. So another reason is that it's overfilled and it's causing you problems because there's too much, there's flashing on the filling. Another very common reason for your filling being sensitive is that it's not cured correctly. Look, when we drill a hole, basically you have a cavity, we as a dentist, we're going to drill a hole, and inside that hole, we have to cure what's called a composite resin. Now, a white filling is a composite resin. We're supposed to call it tooth colored filling. It's a filling that is the same color of your tooth. Now, the only downside to this filling material is the fact that we have to cure it, and it has a little bit of shrinkage. So when we put that little curing light, which is like the blue light that we use, it's a little bit warm. when we cure that filling, it's actually going to shrink a little in different dimensions. And the amount of curing that we can do is less than 2 millimeters. And in my opinion, it's actually more like 1 to 1.5 millimeters. So a trick that I've learned is that I can actually cure from the top and then again from the side and the sides so that that composite filling is getting cured from all sides. And in my opinion, and in my own private practice, I've had great success lowering sensitivity for people's fillings because I just cured it more. So uncured fillings, which is me, so uncured fillings, which is where the fillings aren't cured all the way, and there's actually shrinkage, and you have maybe the top layer that's really cured, the bottom layer is not cured as much. That inconsistency of the filling can actually cause a lot of sensitivity. So a lot of times when I have patients come in and I can't see a reason why their filling is sensitive, I'll actually just go through and just re-cure everything. I'll cure the top, the side, and the side again. Maybe I'll do that 1 or 2 times just to make sure that everything is being cured 100%. And I've had a lot of success with that in my own private practice. So there you go. Those are different ways that are easy fixes to make your filling not as sensitive. In my own private practice, I just have patients come back and we just fix it as a courtesy and we try to do it right away. I can just squeeze you in a schedule really quickly. It doesn't take me any time just to jot over to the next chair. These fixes are usually under maybe 10 to 20 seconds of my time. And the other thing I'll say is that sometimes it takes multiple visits to fix these. So I always tell patients that 95% of my fillings actually get done perfectly the first time, 5% need to be redone once. 1% of those 5% need to be redone twice. So sometimes it takes 2 rounds, which is a little bit inconvenient and a little bit annoying to you as a patient. I totally get it. But sometimes it takes more than one time to fix it because sometimes it's actually a high bite and in combination with that filling being too tight and burnished in too tightly on that next door tooth. So that contact needs to be fixed. So, and sometimes it's the combination of the contact and it having a little bit of flashing. So sometimes it's a 2-time visit. So not just the dentist. And thanks again for watching.